Hello, and welcome back to the Beniskit English Tales. Today, we are going to explore a virtue that seems to be disappearing in our modern world. We live in an era of instant. We want instant communication, instant success, and instant results. We have become a society that views waiting as a waste of time. But is it? Think about your own life for a moment. How often do you feel frustrated when things don't happen on your timeline? How often do you give up on a dream because the progress feels too slow? Today's story is a reminder that the most beautiful things in life, the deepest wisdom, the strongest trees, and the greatest achievements, require something that cannot be rushed. They require the power of patience. Let's journey together into a story that might just change the way you look at the clock and the seasons of your life. High atop a mist-covered mountain, there lived an old Zen master named Master Ken. He was known throughout the lands for his incredible calm. It was said that even if a storm tore the roof from his home, he would simply continue his tea ceremony with a steady hand. One spring morning, two young men arrived at his gates. Their names were Peter and John. Both were ambitious, strong, and eager to learn the secrets of greatness. Master Ken greeted them with a smile and gave them each a small, wooden bowl filled with dry earth and a single, tiny seed. To learn the secret of power, Master Ken said, "You must grow this seed. You must tend to it every day. But there is one condition: you must never force the growth. You must wait until the plant decides it is ready to break the surface. Only when your plant reaches the height of your hand will I teach you the next lesson." Peter, the first student, was full of energy. He took his bowl and placed it in the best sunlight. He watered it every hour. He talked to the soil. But by the third day, nothing had happened. Peter began to pace. Why is it so slow? He wondered. Perhaps it needs more water. Perhaps the soil is too hard. John, the second student, simply placed his bowl on a windowsill where the morning sun hit. He watered it once in the morning and once in the evening. Then, he went about his other chores, sweeping the temple floors, preparing meals, and meditating. He didn't check the soil every 5 minutes. He trusted the seed. Weeks passed. One morning, a tiny green sprout appeared in both bowls. Peter was ecstatic. Finally, he shouted. He began to stay awake at night, watching the sprout, almost trying to pull it upward with his mind. He noticed that John's sprout was growing at the same pace as his. This frustrated Peter. He wanted to be better. He wanted to be faster. He thought to himself, Master Ken said not to force it, but surely a little help wouldn't hurt. If I can show him a tall plant tomorrow, he will see how much more dedicated I am than John. That night, when everyone was asleep, Peter took a pair of tweezers. He very gently, very slowly, tugged on the tiny green stem of his plant. He pulled it just a few millimeters higher out of the soil. He felt clever. The next night, he did it again. By the end of the week, Peter's plant was twice as tall as John's. Peter walked with his head held high. He showed his bowl to the other monks, boasting of his superior gardening skills. John, meanwhile, continued his quiet routine. His plant was small, but its leaves were deep, vibrant green, and its stem was thick and steady. One afternoon, a powerful mountain storm rolled in. The wind howled through the temple corridors, and the rain lashed against the windows. Master Ken called the two students to the central hall. "Bring your bowls," he commanded. Peter sprinted to get his. His plant was now the height of his hand, exactly the goal Master Ken had set. He set it down on the table, looking triumphantly at John, whose plant was still only halfway there. "Master," Peter said, bowing low. "I have completed the task. My plant has reached the mark. I am ready for the secret of power." Master Ken looked at Peter's tall, thin plant. Then he looked at John's small, sturdy one. Without saying a word, the master opened the large window, letting a blast of the storm's wind into the room. The wind swept across the table. In an instant, Peter's plant, the one he had helped to grow, snapped at the base. It had no strength. Because Peter had pulled it up, the roots had never grown deep into the soil. It was tall, yes, but it was hollow and weak. John's plant, however, swayed in the wind. Its leaves fluttered, but its thick stem held firm. Its roots had spent those weeks digging deep into the dark earth, anchoring themselves against the very storm that now raged around it. Peter stared at his broken sprout in horror. Tears filled his eyes. "I don't understand," he whispered. "I worked so hard. I made it grow." Master Ken closed the window and walked over to Peter. He spoke with a voice as soft as the falling rain. "Peter," he said, "you confused activity with progress. You thought that by rushing the result, you were achieving the goal. But in nature, and in life, the waiting period is not empty time. It is the time of the roots." The master turned to both of them. Patience is not the ability to wait. It is the ability to keep a good attitude while waiting. While John waited for his sprout, his roots were becoming unbreakable. Because you refused to wait, your plant had no foundation. You wanted the glory of the flower without the labor of the hidden roots. Peter realized then that his impatience was actually a form of pride. He wanted to look successful more than he wanted to be successful. John eventually reached the goal months later. But when he did, he didn't just have a tall plant. He had the discipline, the calm, and the internal strength of a true master. He had learned that the sun, the rain, and the time all have their roles to play, and humans cannot override the laws of the universe with their own ego. As we finish today's tale, I want you to look at the seeds you are planting in your own life right now. Are you trying to pull on the stems? Are you frustrated that your business isn't growing fast enough, that your skills aren't improving overnight, or that your healing is taking longer than you planned? Remember Peter and John. The time you spend waiting is actually the time you are building your roots. Don't be afraid of the slow days. Don't be afraid of the seasons where nothing seems to be happening on the surface. Those are the most important seasons of all. If you rush your success, you will be weak when the storms of life arrive. But if you have the power of patience, you will build a foundation that no wind can break. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this story touched your heart, please leave a comment below. What is one area of your life where you need to practice more patience? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Until next time, keep tending to your garden, keep your heart calm, and remember, everything beautiful blooms in its own time. This has been the Benny's Kid English Tales. See you in the next story.